later today. Steve, over to you.
All right, Carly, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We've been talking about this for 2 days now. TikToker Nick Sumner's going viral for his rant on inflation, and he joined Fox and Friends in the last hour.
It's very frustrating seeing these handouts being given out and the price of everything increasing. And when I go home at the end of the day, I'm still struggling. I'm trying my best. I'm doing everything I can, and it seems to not be enough in this current economy. The average American needs help, and regardless of who does it, that is all that I'm looking for, is whoever is putting us first.
And the numbers don't lie. Prices are still on the rise, according to the latest consumer reports, with consumer prices up 3.5% year over year. So today we put together a Gen Z panel, people about the same age as that TikTok guy, here with how they're being forced to keep up with inflation. We've got campus reform correspondent Michael Duke, screen left, campus reform reporter Olivia Krolczyk in the center square, and Columbia University student Jonas Du. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
So you saw the TikTok kid, and Michael, you said, you know what? You watched it, and suddenly it felt like that was you saying what he was talking about, because you all feel the same way.
Yes, well, I think he spoke for every college student, including myself. College students are having to make trade-offs, and that's something that the Leadership Institute Campus Reform has consistently reported. But I think to go further in depth on what he was saying and to build off of it,
right,
it's more of a short-term and a long-term thing. In the short term, college students are making trade-offs. For me, that's, do I spend $100 at the end of the week to have groceries for the coming week? Or do I let my $4.50 coffees accrue and then eventually build up and then have to look at really terrible bank statements?
You've had to choose between textbooks and groceries, right?
Essentially, yes. And then the long-term effects of it as well. When you look at data, there are a significant number of colleges and universities that are now going to be more than $90,000 a year for tuition. Fordham University, my university, it's in New York City, a city that's already inflated as it is. They just increased our tuition 6.6% last year.
And then to 84,000.
Actually, it's roughly 90,000 before aid. And then, just to boot,
holy cow!
I got an email a couple weeks ago saying that they're going to be raising it another 4.4%.
Unbelievable.
They say the pandemic's over. It's not for college students.
Olivia, you're paying for your school by yourself.
Yes.
So when you see the TikToker, and he had to apologize for the language, but he was so frustrated about what the people in Washington, D.C. are doing, and particularly he was hacked off about these great big government handouts to foreign governments. He said, you know, you give $60 billion to a country I can't find on a map.
Absolutely. It's really frustrating. I completely empathize with him and what he's saying. He speaks for all college students. And, you know, as a college student myself, like many others, I have worked a full-time job while taking full-time classes. And at the senior level, those classes are difficult and take a lot of time. And that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make because the interest rates are so ridiculously high for student loans that it's not worth the repercussions of taking out the loans when in a couple years I'm going to try to start a family, and having to worry about paying back those loans while trying to raise a family is just not worth it.
Absolutely. And Jonas, one of the things the TikTok kid said was he was pretty much sick of both parties in Washington. He referred to them as the uniparty because whoever's in charge is still hurting Americans. Do you feel like that?
Yeah, and I think a lot of Gen Z feels that way as well. Look, we have some of the most unpopular Democrat and Republican candidates running for president. And we have, you know, Trump on the one hand, who is embroiled in a lot of legal proceedings. He's not really talking about a lot of real solutions. And we have Biden, who, you know, we feel like is so much older than us and can't even, you know, complete a sentence half the time, right? So it's just very frustrating that we have a political process that has resulted in this and resulted in candidates that we feel like don't represent us.
Real quick, lightning round. When you think about the presidential election coming up in November of this year, we'll start with you, Jonas. You know, people your age, for the most part, always vote for Democrats. Is that going to be the case this year?
You know, I don't think so this year, and I'll tell you why. It's because students like us have seen TikToks like this, and we empathize with them. Right. We feel our lives also reflected. We're about to enter the workforce. We're about to be making, you know, similar wages perhaps, and we're also wondering how we're going to afford a home and start a family. So, you know, we're looking to other candidates.
Olivia, you're nodding your head.
Yeah, of course. At Leadership Institute's Campus Reform, we've actually seen that there are a lot of conservative women who are, you know, hiding their opinions and their beliefs beliefs.
On campus?
Yes, on campus, because they're so afraid of what's going to happen. And I've experienced it firsthand as a student at University of Cincinnati. I was silenced and failed in my class for using the term biological woman, which is insane. And so many students are afraid of that. So I don't think they're going to share their conservative beliefs.
The final word.
I think President Biden is toast just because he's driving the car that is our government and our economic policy, and he's asleep at the wheel, and we're coming into oncoming traffic.
He's driving the toaster, essentially. Yes. All right. Michael and Olivia.